Right, we are live.
Good evening, everybody. This is kind of a little bit different. We've done a couple of these before, but this is PSHRadio. My name's Carl Hutchinson, and my fellow co-host Sam Mason's in the studio clicking buttons, so hopefully everything will run smoothly. Hi, Sam.
Hey,
How's it going?
I'm doing alright. Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Difficult day. For me, Father's Day, and having my father looking down on me. But no, it's been a good day. Quite chilled out, quite relaxed. First of all, I just want to apologise to everybody that was expecting a show on Thursday due to circumstances. Sadly, I couldn't get out of. We couldn't do a show. We were going to go live last night at 9 o'clock, but we decided to do it on a Sunday. Everybody else who hope be having a chilled out Sunday, chilled out weekend, and we thought we'd just come live and give you a little bit of an update on what we've been up to in the world of PSH Radio, and also we're going to be discussing some interesting stuff from a recent interview that we did, which has come to light after we did the interview, and we'll be discussing that. Isn't that right, Sam?
Yeah. Because it is very interesting. Like, we're gonna say on the Facebook Live that we've been doing, like, we've posted on our social media obviously some photos which we shall be discussing on this live, but we kind of went down a little rabbit hole, didn't we, to see what it was. And
yeah, it's quite interesting, which we'll come on to. But since we did the interview, since you did the interview, because I wasn't feeling 100% well, so you did a cracking job on the interview, and it's great. But we'll come on to that. We don't want to give you all the amazing information first of all. This is sort of new. We've done a couple of these, but we're going to do a few more. But the radio will be the traditional and stuff like that. But we just want to give you a quick update on what PHS Radio and obviously the network, the studio, what we've been up to recently. So, Sam, what have you been concentrating on behind the scenes to do with the radio?
Well, not a lot really, because we've kind of told everybody that. But it's, my usual, it's booking guests and then telling Carl, right, we've got this person on this date, make sure you're free and that. But yeah, we're pretty, well, we have a few dates left now of the year, don't we? We're pretty booked up for the
crazy old pandemic lockdown that everybody in this world is in at the moment. But we are working behind the scenes. We've got some amazing guests coming up. We're not going to go into detail. We've had some amazing guests from day one, from when we first came back after our little break, and a few of those people are in the chat room. We've got Jonathan from Paranormal Adventures in the lovely Las Vegas. Hi, Jonathan.
Voyages.
Yeah.
Voyages, not adventures.
Yeah. Sorry. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. I'm tired. I've been busy, but it wouldn't be one of our updates without me making a what's it of myself anyway. But yeah, no, we've been doing stuff and booking guests, doing some research on some certain stuff. We've obviously we've done some interviews on other people's radio shows. Friday night we were on the
seance room.
The seance room with those great
people. Usually it's hosts Linda and Victor, but Salazar. But we had Linda on, and Carlia Smith, who is Linda's co-host.
Yeah, so we had a great time on there, and we've been doing stuff and working behind the scenes, and it's been good. Hi, Sam can finally put a voice to a face. And hi, Claire. But no, it's been good. It's been an interesting few months. Well, months,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
February.
don't know, years, months.
February since I went into lockdown, since I got back from New Orleans, it's kind of been weird, and you kind of like. I think we're becoming as a nation. I think we're all becoming quite feral. You know, we're literally. I can't see. I can see it happening soon, where we'll be out, only going out at night and scrummaging around. As soon as we hear a noise, we run back into our little hole. But yeah, it's been strange. It's like I've been like locked down since February, since I got back from New Orleans. You've obviously been in the same sort of situation, but a few weeks later. And it's kind of weird, and it's you were like struggling to know what to do and how to do stuff, but then you sort of get into a routine, and it seems to be at the moment kind of human nature, kind of that we're doing. It's kind of the weirdness of the weirdness of the weirdness. It's like, yeah, we're used to not going out. We're used to wearing face masks if you do go out. Home deliveries, best thing ever. Yeah, it's kind of that just weird situation that we're all in, sadly, and I think it's going to happen, going to carry on for a few more months, sadly. But fingers crossed, things are going to change. Obviously, my 2020, I had a full year of trips away and doing this and doing that in this crazy industry that we're in, and sadly each one as the months go on have fallen by the wayside, but I still have hope that at some point I will be getting on an aeroplane and heading stateside to meet up with my friends out there, but who knows, and I can't put money on it, but I'm hoping and praying. If not, I will just cram everything that I had arranged for 2020 into 2021, and I'm going to be quite used to. If I do, I'm going to be quite used to airplane food and flying and customs and TSA and America and all that. It's going to be kind of weird.
You'll soon, but you'll soon get. We'll soon get used to it. I think even if some things do change after this, I think we'll all adjust and get used to it anyway. Because obviously, with what's gone on, we've had to adjust anyway. So
absolutely, I think it is. I think hopefully we won't go back into some of, as I say I'm hoping as a group of people that live in this world, we won't go back into some of the old ways that we used to do, relying on this, relying on that, and we learn from what's been going on, and we grow as a population and as people. We grow and sort of learn from the fun and games of international worldwide lockdown type of thing. I know we're not technically not in a complete lockdown like some other countries is, but it feels like that opening that door is like opening that door into Narnia. You don't know what's going to be out there when you wander out. Even just taking the rubbish to the bin, you just like look around and like, oh,
it's kind of like,
I'm outside. Oh, this is nice. I haven't seen this for a while. But it's just crazy. Hi Irene. Hi Angela. Thanks for everybody joining. Anybody that's listening tonight,
you can comment.
You can comment, ask us questions, ask us anything. If you want us to talk about any subjects, just let us know. We're here and we're just giving you an update. So we came back on air, Sam.
Yeah, how many weeks ago?
About 6, 7,
7.
6, 7, 8 weeks ago. Sort of like as we've just been saying, it kind of all blends into one. Yeah. We had some amazing guests, and but one of the guests that we had on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was not this Thursday, but last Thursday.
Sort of, as obviously Sam was doing the interview because I wasn't well, as I'd said. Some interesting things have come from that interview, and we've been talking to this person, and he sent us some videos which we're going to be sharing with you guys, and some interesting photos. And the reason we're doing this is I've looked at some of these photos, I've looked at some of these videos. I have a thing in my mind about one particular video which I will share with you. I'm not saying that is what it is, but from my mindset, I can see it. But the photos that we're going to be showing you in a second, I'm stumped. I've shown them to we've shown them to a few people, and they've kind of like looked at them and thought that's a bit strange. So we've gone back to this guest and asked him and done everything like that, and asked him more questions, and he's like wandered around his neighbourhood looking like some sort of strange person, videoing and taking photos. But we'll explain more. But yeah, we'll be coming on to that. Irene, yes, Salem 2021 is going to be amazing. Can't wait. I'm hoping. I've got literally arms, legs, fingers, toes, you name it. I got it crossed because I do want to be going to Salem in April 2021 to Salem Con. Hi Leslie, nice for you to join us. But yeah, things hopefully will start to improve and things will become. You stumped? Yes, Mark. Yes, I am stumped because of the nature of these strange things that have appeared on these trees.
Mark has asked a question, but just if anybody does comment in the chat room with questions, guys, if you have any questions you want us to answer, we will answer them after we've done this.
Yeah, we'll either do that now or we'll answer them live on air. So, the guest you were talking to, Sam, was a guy, an amazing guy called Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon Powers.
Brandon Powers, and he was or is the owner of the Golden Tiki in Las Vegas, and also the owner of the Evil Pie, as in Evil Knievel Pie, pizza place in Las Vegas. And he has appeared recently on Ghost Adventures. We were lucky enough to get an interview, and it was an amazing interview that Sam did. And he was talking about stuff that he sort of didn't believe in the paranormal, and he bought the Golden Tiki, which is like a tiki bar, and got some weird, macabre, and strange things like skulls and all sorts of things like that. And you had a chat, and we were chatting then about other things, and all of a sudden he mentioned that he owns this property in Las Vegas where he lives.
Yep.
His normal home in a quiet residential street in Las Vegas. If you can have a street in Las Vegas which is quiet and residential, but you obviously can. A quiet residential street, and there's a tree on his property which is on the road, and he's been living there how long, Sam?
You're asking me now? I can't remember.
Sam. You're supposed to
I know, but I
about.
can't remember. He didn't. I don't think he even said that how long he'd lived there for. So
I believe he was saying he's been living there for over 7 years. Okay.
Sorry, Brandon.
I believe that was a conversation, Sam, you were having with Brandon, and you were letting me know. And he's been living there a little bit long, over 7 years. And he did the interview, and you see it on Ghost Adventures episode, where he goes home, and halfway through the evening, after the boys are investigating the Golden Tiki, strange activity happened at his home. His son, who has never had anything weird, has not had anything paranormal ever happen to him, sort of experienced something. And then when he started looking at it, he noticed this tree out the front of his garden. And we're going to show you a picture.
Yeah, well, his neighbours. So basically,
Sam
what happened was, he showed his neighbours. He did like a watch party thing with his neighbours of the Ghost Adventures episode, and then his neighbours took him to this tree and was like, "Have you seen this tree before?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've seen the tree, but..." And then they're like, "Have you seen the markings?" And he's like, "No." And then he explained which he said to me, unfortunately he found out after Ghost Adventure, so he couldn't put this in the show. But previously, before he moved in, or a little bit before a woman sadly passed away in his home. Obviously, she had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And these a little bit about these images without giving too much away yet, because obviously we want people's thoughts. And firstly, guys, keep your comments nice if they're these thoughts. But he's kind of like, he sent me the photos, didn't he? Because I sent him, obviously showed him obviously Carl, and and you can just see that it's out of place, can't you?
Well, the initial thoughts were on because obviously we saw the first photograph, which just shows a normal tree, which is on his property, a nice little garden, nice little trim garden, a paved way, and the road out the front. And then you go round the tree, and there's these markings, and the markings, I feel, look old. They don't look fresh. They don't look like they're just been recently done. They do look a little bit strange, and they do the markings that appear. I can't, me personally, and this is where I said I was kind of stumped. I can't see a natural reason why there would be these types of markings in the tree. So it just stumped me. So this is one of the reasons we wanted to do the live and basically get you guys, our listeners and our friends in the paranormal community and not in the paranormal community, and see what you think of these markings. So Sam, you ready?
Yeah, if you give me a sec, just
okay. We're gonna show you the first tree.
So the first photo is of a tree which, because due to the matter of fact of these signs which he has on his tree, we wanted him to rule out that all the neighbourhood trees had that marking on. So the first photo, which is going to pop up in a little while, is one of the trees in his neighbourhood.
Yeah, we asked him, that's what we said at the start. We asked him to go out and literally go along next door's gardens and take photos, because they all are the same sort of trees. And we asked him to take photos because we wanted to rule out that this wasn't a natural occurrence on these particular trees. And if it was like a natural, the way the trees grow, the way the sun and how the trees grow, or etc., etc. So he went out, like we said, he went out and scared a few of his neighbours. So this is the type of tree we're talking about in his neighbourhood. So you can see it's a normal tree, bark around it, lovely furniture. So lovely greenery and stuff like that. But this is like the tree that is literally, he said to us, is on every sort of plot of land. There's a couple of them on each of the plots of land in front of the houses. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a tree expert, so I'm not saying I don't know what.
We don't know what tree it is or anything.
We don't know what
tree
it is. Anybody that lives in America can probably tell us what type of tree that is. So this is the normal tree, and as you can see, it looks like a normal tree. You can see bark, you can see leaves, you can see branches.
You can see a bit of like cracking, but
you can see a bit of cracking, but that's presumably the way the tree grows. And the next photo that we have.
Yeah, if you give me a second.
The next photo is the tree, which is literally in front of his property on his land, next to his walkway to down his driveway, and this is the photo that we want people's views and opinions on.
Yep. So obviously, because I've got the photo here, firstly we're gonna pop up the photo which is the closest, and then we'll let everyone look at it, and then we'll swap over where he's a bit back.
Okay.
So this is obviously the tree on his property with the markings.
Yeah, he never noticed it when he bought it. Moved into the property when he bought the house. His neighbours knew about these markings on the tree, so the neighbours knew that there was these funny markings on this tree. So as you can see, there's two markings. It's what I can see, and this is, I'm not trying to lead anybody, but I'm not 100% sure whether that's carved or whether that's burnt in for a start. because that's the closest photo we've got. But you can see there's two markings, one above each other. And what I see is you can clearly, in my eyes, you can clearly see the first marking at the top is of a triangle. Don't you agree, Sam?
Like a triangle in an eye inside.
And a triangle with something in the middle of it, and then underneath it, what I would describe as an eye shape with a pupil, and that's that. So these are the strange markings that were in the tree, and we got other pictures to show you,
and a video,
which we'll come on to.
Mm-hmm. So that next is going to be what a little bit back.
So this is further back, so you can see see the road. This is literally on the bottom of his driveway, and you can clearly see there are other markings on the tree as well. Like, to me, on the branches going up, there seems to be some squares with something else in the middle of it. I'm not 100% sure which of these are natural, but there also looks to be other markings going round the other one of the side near where the triangle part is. I am not saying these are paranormal. I am not saying these are whatever. I'm just interested because they look very, very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Once we were sent these photos, me and Sam were looking at them. So we did our usual due diligence. We started off and looked at symbols of the paranormal, this, that, and the other, and we found a few things that kind of look the same. Then we sort of ended up going down the rabbit hole, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this tonight. Is there are similarities to symbols that you can easily Google and find out. I am, like we say, we are not on this network, and Brandon is not saying they are, and that's why we're asking you guys. But some of the symbols do look occult, or to the spiritualist side of symbols that you would get, like ruins and stuff like that. So, exactly, the all-seeing eye underneath, the triangle with the eye in the middle. These are all types of symbols. I'm not.
Something went wrong.
Sorry, that's
Try
my.
again in a few seconds.
So I do apologise. For some reason,
Google Home going off.
My Google Home Hub has decided to join in the conversation. So I do apologise about that. But yeah.
Anyway, where cork figures are made. So basically, a little bit more about this as well is, but these markings do face his front door as well.
Yeah. So if there's anybody that's out there that's watching this or watching it on playback
or watched it back,
or in the chat room, what are your views? I know Jonathan, who lives in Las Vegas, if he knows what type of tree this is, let us know. Is it something that you have seen before on trees around Las Vegas? The thing that I personally think is quite interesting is, one, it to me, it doesn't look like it's the naturally way the tree is grown. Two, they look old. They don't look like they've been recently done, which is very important in my eyes. They don't look like they've just been put on there recently. Yes, one does look like the all-seeing eye, the one underneath. Yes, there is a triangle with definitely a black blob in the middle, which potentially could be another eye, and that is a very prominent ruin symbol, etc. We posted these after the show, and a few people have commented and tried to kind of link it back to a particular gentleman in the paranormal history. Me personally, I can't see the connection because I did look at the symbols that were associated with that gentleman, and I can't, apart from the all-seeing eye, I can't see any other similarities to the carvings, the branding, or whatever you want to call it, on the tree. Don't you agree, Sam?
Yeah.
So what are you guys watching this tonight? What are your views on this? What do you think these are? Do you have a theory behind what they are, what they're meant to be doing?
And possibly the
I personally haven't seen it on trees here. That doesn't look like it's been on the tree for a long time. Yeah, exactly. When I looked at it, I was like thinking, okay, are they fresh? Do they look like they've been freshly carved, burnt, or whatever? To me, they don't, because you can see that the tree, the colour, is pretty. It doesn't look fresh. There's no fresh. Looks like fresh cuts. So I would agree with our friend Jonathan and etc.
We will also in a little. We'll give everybody a few more minutes, and then we'll share the video which he sent me, which I will have to talk through because we can't get the sound to work.
Yeah. So anybody watching this, we would love to have your input, because we've been talking to Brandon, and we will be meeting up with Brandon next time we go out to the States, to Las Vegas. We will be meeting up with him, but we're just trying to. I like I said, I was stoked. I just looked at it and went like, yeah, they do look like symbols. I'm not that afraid with the type of ruins, spiritualist symbolism. I know obviously what a pentagram is. I know bits and bobs, but these to me look like two types of. One definitely looks like an eye, and one definitely looks like a triangle with something in the middle. They are pointing directly at his house. The neighbours who live next door knew about them and actually had to show Brandon, who owns the house, that they were there. Brandon had never noticed them until afterwards. So we want people's points of view. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you the video now, which hopefully will give you a little bit better look at them in actual like movement, and see what anybody thinks. And it's just, I personally think it's very, very interesting. Off the back of an interview, we then get sent some other photos, and it just we end up, as you do in this industry, end up disappearing down rabbit holes. Leslie reminds me of the Egyptian hieroglyphs. That's something else. I did Google hieroglyphs to see if there was anything. You have obviously the Osiris, which is the eye, which obviously the one underneath does look like an eye, but the symbolism and what they mean, I don't know. This is why we wanted to do this. So have you got the video ready, Sam?
Yeah.
So we'll play the video. Sam will talk you through it. So you can see this is down towards his tree on his property. So you can see how old the tree is because the roots are coming through. As he turns, you can see that the symbol's there. And he's gone in very, very close. And to me, that doesn't look like it's been carved. That looks like it's been burnt into it, in my eyes. And then you've got the one on top, which is the triangle. And then you've what I think looks like a triangle with an eye in the middle, because there is a bit in the middle which looks like the pupil, and then there's a white spot that hasn't been burnt. So he goes round the tree to show the back of it. Nothing. And you do see some like lines on the tree. And then you get back to the front of it, and you see, and there's also markings above them as well. There's a funny marking in my eyes. It's very interesting. There's a marking above it which looks like it's got something in the middle of it, and then on the other side there's another marking and another line. As we said, I've never seen anything like this. I don't know whether they look strange. Jonathan has said, it looks to me like they put the eye on the tree for protection, which leads to me to believe that previous owners would experience something paranormal. There is also the evil eye, which is the protection symbol, and in my opinion, I think that's what's going on. Now, Jonathan, can you just comment which you think is the evil eye? Is that the top or the bottom symbol? Because I'm interested in that, because like I said, I'm not an expert and I'd like to know more about it. What is the symbol for the evil eye and what is the protection eye? I'd just like to sort of kind of clarify that, and I'm sure there's people out there that like to know that as well.
Yeah, so while we wait for Jonathan to obviously put his comment through, obviously no audio was on that. Nobody heard it. So basically what Brandon does is he describes that he's walking up to the tree, and he believes, obviously, when he runs his finger across the markings, they're raised, so he doesn't know if they've been carved in or been in. So, but to me, how it is, it looks burnt in, because it's like blacky ashy.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't look like it's carved in. You cannot see deep marks in there. It does look like it's either what I would describe as burnt or branded into the tree. I don't know whether that's symbolism. I don't know whether that is something these markings have to be done, whether they're burnt. Jonathan says, not 100%, but what I feel, we do use evil eye on self for protection. Yes, I know when we say evil eye, I do know that a lot of people say evil eye, but it's actually a protection. It's the, if I remember, it's the eye, the bottom eye. That's right. Yeah, the bottom eye. And that to me does look like so. Yeah. What's everybody else's views? It's interesting because he never noticed these symbols, and he said he'd been in the property a while, and it was actually his neighbours who knew the previous person.
And obviously, they obviously knew the previous person and what had happened, and then they'd obviously, like we said previously in this Facebook Live, Brandon had him round, and they watched the Ghost Adventures episode, and then they were like, "Oh, do you realise you have these?" And there's a lot more. There's some more info which he sent me like yesterday, which I've not had a chance to go over. So it's.
But what he did state that he'd not experienced anything paranormal in the house.
Yeah.
Up until they did the show, and he then came back to the house. So, not actually when it got aired. It was when it was being filmed, when he actually left the Golden Tiki, leaving Zach and all the boys to do their lockdown. It's when he came back to the house that things started to happen initially. He experienced nothing else in the house previously. That's right, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah. Like, and then it was like then his son started experiencing things as well, and I mean his son, like I kind of thought his son was like rather like oldish, but when he obviously sent me photos of the family photos, which I've sent Carl, I mean, I'm not showing any family photos. It's just like, well, his son is like really, really young, so.
It's just very, very strange, and that's why we wanted to show them. We wanted to give people the opportunity to do like a follow-on from the interview, because obviously an interview, it's an hour, we have a great time, we have a good chat, but after most of the interviews we continue and we chat, and most of the people that we've interviewed have sort of become friends, and we talk occasionally. And Brandon's exactly the same. He's then shared other things with us. He sent us some videos of activity that happened in the Golden Tiki.
Yeah,
which is obviously
some has been put on the Ghost Adventures episode.
There's a couple of videos which he hasn't been able to send because that is now the rights of Ghost Adventures, so he's not been allowed to send those. But he has shared a video which will show you, which will talk you through what the video shows. There's another video which I'd like to show you next, which is the video which shows the movement of an ashtray
Yeah.
on one of the tables. You do see a little bit of this video on the episode, but this is a more close up of the ashtray. And I'll talk you through it, and I will then say my initial thoughts on the video, because as soon as I saw it, I thought one thing, because I'm always looking at a reasonable explanation of what is happening. So once you're ready, Sam.
Yeah. So obviously I'm going to make this a bit bigger than the other one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you've got is you've got a table in the Golden Teak in one of the booths. You have an ashtray, and the gentleman is showing you the ashtray. There's no wires. He moves around it. He then flicks some ash into it, and nothing. It just looks like a normal video. Then all of a sudden, they're filming it, and all of a sudden, it starts to vibrate. So he moves away. I believe that is potentially like a placemat or whatever. And this is a glass table. It's glass top. So yeah, again, he's just trying to show you that it's not moving. Then all of a sudden, it moves a little bit, and then a bit more. And the good thing about it is you can see the pictures that are underneath the glass table. You can see where it originally started to where it originally goes to. So you can see that, so the distance it has moved. So you can clearly see that has moved. And it continues to move because you can see the white line of the photo underneath it. You can see when it first started, you could see the full white line. Gradually, it keeps slowly moving.
And like Carl said in the video, he discusses that there's no strings, because he did say that people were like, oh, you've got strings, you're kicking the table. But to me, if he was kicking the table, or if the lady with him was kicking the table, it'd judder, wouldn't it? Because they're they're plastic ashtray guys. They're not glass or anything like that. They are plastic ashtrays.
And I'll give you my honest opinion. Initially, when I first saw that, my initial thought was Las Vegas, hot, air-conditioned room, glasses with ice, moisture on the table. And I was just thinking, you're sitting there, you're having a drink, you've got a glass, a bit like this glass here, with ice. If you've not got a placemat and it's a glass service, moisture is then going to seep off the glass onto the table. And then at some point, if the table's not 100% level, it could then move. But the thing I think strange is, like, if the table was crooked, I think it would move quicker.
Yeah. It'd just be one straight movement, wouldn't it? If they moved it the cells or.
But when I looked at the video again, and I looked closely at the video, and I zoomed in, you couldn't see any moisture or damp patches on the table, because obviously, being moisture, it would glisten, particularly with cameras. You would get that glare, you would get that bounce off of light. I'm not saying it's paranormal. I'm just saying it's another thing which is it's very, very strange. And you look at various different things. The first, like I said to you when I went, Sam, that's cold glass. It's the moisture's run off, and you produce like a film of moisture. The table's not straight. Somebody could have walked past and it could have moved.
Yeah.
That was my initial thought. But then when you look closely at the video and you go into the video, you can clearly see there's no moisture or water or ice, melted ice from a glass on the table. You can't see any of that because you would see the reflections of the bounces. So then I'm like, okay. And then you've got to then go into the realms of the people that witnessed it. And they said they didn't knock the table. So it's about belief, etc. I just think it's a very, very interesting little video showing potential I'm not saying it is. I'm not claiming it is paranormal. And I will say this to Brandon, and we have said this to Brandon. We don't know. It looks like we told him what we initially thought. We told him then what looks. So yeah, it's another one. So your views, what people think on that one. So anybody in the chat room that's still watching us, what do you think on that? We'll get the next video lined up while you guys are talking. Like I said, if you've got any questions in the chat room, send them in to us. Just post it up. We'll post them. We'll answer them live. Doesn't have to be about these videos. It can be about anything in the paranormal field. So send them in. So we've got a load of people in the chat room. If Sam, you want to give some shout outs to who's in the chat room, because I can't see most of it.
Hi, Sharon, Leslie, Greg, Jonathan, Carrie Ann, Irene, Mark, Irene, Lynn's, my sister if she's still watching, Claire, Denise. Yeah, that's it for now.
Well, it's nice for you joining us, and hopefully we'll be doing more of these. For debunking, was there any magnets pulls on the table? That's a good thing. We'll ask Brandon how thick the table is, see if he can give us a shot of the table, because obviously to depending on how thick the table, it depends on how that is. But he did say the ashtray was plastic. So unless there was like some sort of metallic weight on the bottom of the ashtray, I don't know, but yeah, it could be that. So that's a good point, Leslie, and this is why we try to show you this, get some opinions, because Brandon wants to learn more about it. He's like,
Yeah,
he wasn't really into the paranormal. He just used to, like he said, he moved to Las Vegas. He had Evil Pie, which is an amazing pizza place in Las Vegas, which is based around Evil Knievel. He then bought the Golden Tiki, which obviously is a tiki bar, which we at PSHRadio love tiki bars. And a lot of our friends out in the paranormal will love. I think there must be something about tiki bars and the paranormal, because we all seem to love them. And he bought the Golden Tiki, and then he started to experience things, what was going on, and the staff were experiencing it before he took over. So he then sort of been plunged into this paranormal world. So he's just asking for what people think, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these videos out, and hopefully we'll get some ideas. We're going to post the ideas. Sadly, Brandon can't be on the show tonight because he's obviously working,
and plus he's got a Facebook ban.
Yeah, plus, yeah. So, but yeah, and yeah. So anybody's views and what opinions. So going on to something else is the famous video that they showed on Ghost Adventures of another booth where the shrunken skulls and the weird and macabre area of the Golden Tiki, which is where they've experienced stuff that's happened before Zach and the boys turned up.
Yeah.
They've experienced stuff after. But the video that they showed on the night was the booth, glass table, and you see it on the show where there's some people around there, there's drinks, there's bottles, etc. They're having a good time, and they spoke to the people that installed the table, the type of glass on the show. So we're not going to go into that.
No.
I just want to show, because you didn't actually see on the show.
No, because this video which we're going to show is completely different to the Ghost Adventures one. So this one, the video we're going to show in a little while, is the person who it happened to. So this is obviously after it shattered, and it shows all the shattered glass and that on the floor, basically.
Yeah, basically the aftermath of what actually happened. As Sam just said, this was the table that was on their security camera, and you see this table just explode.
Well, this is the aftermath.
And shatter. So we're just gonna look at this. So this is a toughened glass top. You can see the remnants of the drink, so you can see pina colada, see a bit of food. This was a very strong toughened glass, as you can see by the way it's shattered. This is toughened glass, so instead of it breaking and going into massive big shards, it sort of shatters in the way and stays together into little parts. So you can see, literally, you can see that it's not shattered into like jagged edges or whatever. It's a bit like what I would describe. You drive in, it's your car windscreen made of toughened glass, and if something hits it or a stone gets flicked up and it hits it at speed, it shatters in a particular way. You see the video on Ghost Adventures, and you see how the reaction of it just like seems to explode, and that's the aftermath. So you can see the way the glass is broken. Has broken up into hardened, toughened glass, and the way it breaks, like little windscreen, so you can see it breaks in just like it goes into a massive big spider web.
Yeah.
So kind of weird. And the guys that installed it, which you see on the show, they spoke to them and said that the table, if somebody had literally put a glass down very quickly, it wouldn't. They don't believe that it would have broken the way it did. This looks like a center point shatter. So we're not saying it's paranormal. It's just weird, isn't that right, Sam?
Yeah. Because obviously, like the same with the ashtray, you know, you got to put in you don't know if it's shattered because of heat or the difference. It could have been hot than it should be, and it just went. It's kind of like that. You don't know where. I don't know if anyone who has a dishwasher, because it's happened to me before a few times at work, where you'll get a glass straight out of a dishwasher and it'll just go. So obviously you don't know if it's heat or coldness which has shattered it with that. So
well, that's one good thing that they did do. They spoke to the people that produced the glass, because that table had only been
because they were literally they were just getting new glass put on it, weren't they, when the guys were filming?
Yeah, that morning of it shattering, the glass was put in. So, and they spoke to it and said this, that, and the other, and he was saying it shouldn't react like that unless it was a faulty, which they don't believe it was faulty, toughened glass, which we have to take on face value. But we wanted to show you the aftermath, because I don't think you saw how the way the glass broke on the show, because you wouldn't have seen the way it's the spider web breaking, where it just breaks like a car window. So you don't get those massive spike shards of like normal glass, like a pane of glass in your house, if it's not toughened, the way that shatters. So you've got the dangerous. So it's I think they call it like safety glass as well, because it will break and there's no sharp shards. So another thing we thought we'd share with you, see what everybody thought. So your views. Here's what I found on Google that could have caused tempered glass to break. Cool. This is what we want to do. An internal defect within the glass, such as nickel sulfate inclusion mirror damage during installation, such as nickel or chipped edges, later develops into a larger break, normally radiating from a point of deflect, binding all the glass in the frame, causing stress to develop as the glass expands and contracts during thermal changes to deflect due to the wind. Thermal stress in the glass indicate glasses thickens to resist wind loads. Exactly. This is the thing that is interesting. When I saw that the aftermath, my first thing was windscreen. I've had windscreens shatter on me while driving before, when a stone's flicked up and it's hit just at the right point and it just goes. And that to me looks like what happened there. But obviously, with what was on the show, and they were saying about what was on the show, you've got to take some of that into it. As we stated before, we're not claiming it's paranormal. We just wanted to have an open discussion and see what you guys. And I think Jonathan is here on that. There is a logical explanation of how that potentially could react the way it did in a natural way. There's like a defect during installation, or there was a defect to that particular pane of glass. We're not saying categorically that it's paranormal. We're showing you the aftermath that you didn't get to see on the show and what we've been talking. So we've got a few people. We've got the Spooky Sisters joining. Hi, girls. We've got the lovely Chris from Haunted Housing that's just joined. Thank you for joining us. So we're just here. We're having a good old chinwag. We're having a catch up.
Yeah.
And we're just showing some stuff that we've been sort of end up going down this rabbit hole when we've been talking to Brandon after the interview. And like we said, the strangest thing, we started off with the marks on the tree. We then, as we've been chatting, had the ashtray moving. Then he showed us the aftermath, and these are the sort of things that we can't really share on the radio when we're doing the radio show. So we thought we'd do this sort of catch up. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you want to see more of these, comment, let us know, because we're happy to do this more and more. If there's any evidence or stuff that you guys have captured that you want us to put out there and talk about, you can even come on. We'll get your little face in one of these little weird boxes, and you can talk about it. But it's sharing the knowledge, sharing experiences, looking at various different ideas of what it could be, what it can't be, or whatever. So we want to try and do this a little bit more. We're not going to go into the whole frame by frame analysis, because there's far too many radio shows and podcasts that do that. We're just showing you stuff that we find interesting, and like I said, the tree markings stumped me completely. I was like, I ain't got a clue. And when me and Sam were talking, and we were saying, well, what should we do? We then decided, I'll tell you what, well, we haven't got a show due to circumstances out of my control. Let's put it out to you guys. So that's what we're doing. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
This is the bit where I'm talking.
Where we're kind of like, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat room now, so we can answer them. So
that's a better response to my normal one where I go, Sam, and I've checked now.
So with that said, I shall post the message what Mark asked you earlier when I can find it. There we go. Because obviously this one's for Carl, because it's to do with UFOs.
What do you make of the wave of UFO sightings in the States? It's quite interesting, because the US government has released files upon files, and there's the famous Tic Tac video that they released recently, which shows UFOs. This very strange of a fighter group coming off, I think it was the Nimitz, in California, and there's two fighter jets follows this object where it's on their thermal, and they go between thermal, normal, and this thing looks like a little Tic Tac. That's why they call it the Tic Tac video. And I personally think it's like ghosts, it's like spirits. More people are looking for them, and modern day technology, more people. You can guarantee there's not that many people in the world that does not have a mobile phone. The mobile phone has video, has photograph. So there's more people. You know what it's like. Before it hits the news, there'll be something on YouTube, there'll be something on TikTok, there'll be something, whatever events happening in the world, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, horrible, whatever. Within seconds, things will be put on online. So I think there's more people, because it's become open and in mainstream, because the government of the USA did something weird and actually admitted that they got this video of a UFO, and that's how they put it out. It's making people in America look at it and go, okay. Well, I don't think there's more sightings. I don't think there's more activity in the paranormal. I think it's constant. I think it's there. I think it's happening all the time. I think more people are now looking for it because it's becoming more mainstream. UFOs, Bigfoot, anything like that. I think it's becoming more mainstream. I think there are more groups. There are more individuals that are actually willing to actually stand up and do things like we're doing now and saying, I'm a ghost hunter, I'm a paranormal researcher, I'm a UFO, I'm a crypto, I hunt Bigfoot, I hunt the Yeti, I hunt the skunk ape in Florida and the Ment in Russia. And there was a program that, because there's a case of these 9 people from Russia that part of their university degree, they had to go and do a fen for themselves in 1940 odd or whatever it was, 50 odd, disappeared into the tundra in Siberia, and then their bodies were then found. Their tent was undisturbed. Their cooker thing was intact, and it looked like something had actually, the tent had been not damaged, but it had actually been ripped from the inside out, and the 9 bodies were then found not wearing their winter clothing in various different forms of undress. 2 of the victims had no tongue and no eyes, but that was 2 to 3 months after they disappeared. So I personally think, as the program said, that is definitely animal have taken away that. But I think I don't think it's sort of an influx or a wave of UFOs or a wave of ghosts. I think it's happening all the time. I just think more people at the moment are in a position because they're bored at home. They're in lockdown. Things are going on in their house potentially that happens all the time, but they're there 24/7. So they're picking up on these things, and the easiest way to do that is you've got a phone and you take photos and videos. So to answer Mark's question, and I've rambled on about it, I don't think there's been a plethora more activity. I think it's constant, and I think that more people are aware of it because more people are capturing it because that's what they're doing. The Spooky Sisters, there was a very interesting live one posted last night. It was strange, large craft hovering over Singapore, but the feed went off as I was watching. Yeah, there's been a few of that. There's the one of the US airport where the ground crew that were getting ready a plane filmed this strange thing above them. And I think there's a lot of those about. I think to be truthfully honest, you've got to take some of those on face value. There's a lot you can do wizardry in post-production, so I say. And I think there's a lot of it that you can sort of just bat off straight away. So yeah, there are famous cases. But I think there's some interesting stuff out there. I think there's particular cases. I'm currently down a rabbit hole looking at the new, well, not new, but the Area 52, which is Dungway Proving Ground in Utah, which they say is the new Area 51, which they call Area 52. But they keep Area 51 as the thing. It's like, look over here while things are going on over there. So I'm currently deep down a rabbit hole looking at that. At the moment. So anybody listening, anybody watches this back, if you know anything about Dungway Proving Ground in Utah, please get in touch, because trying to find the information is near enough impossible. I know it's a place where the US government tests chemical weapons, and it's got some weird stuff that they do, but there's a lot of rumors and there's a lot of reports of UFOs. So please, anybody that knows, listening to this live or in a replay, anybody, just please come in touch with me, because I'm trying. Every hole I go down gets stopped because I can't find the information I'm looking for. So I need some help on that. So I'm putting that out there. Jonathan says, "What are you guys excited to investigate next when you're able to?" I think, me personally, I'm excited just to get out of the house.
Yeah, same.
Just to actually physically be able to do an investigation. I'm not in the case where we can go out and investigate. I need to be 100. I need to feel 100% safe. And sadly, in the UK at the moment, I don't feel 100% safe being in certain situations. In that, so getting out of the house when I can, getting to be able to investigate some of the locations and some of the locations in the UK, getting on a plane, going to America and doing some investigations. That's what I can't. That's what I'm excited to be. And as soon as I can, I will. But until I feel completely 100% safe, I'm not going to be doing it. I know a lot of the people I know, and a lot of people, particularly most of them, obviously people in the UK, that's their view. Can't speak for ghost hunt events groups, because they must be in a very difficult situation. I feel so sorry for them, because obviously it's their livelihood and it's their businesses. And the rules about you can't do a ghost hunt when you've got a group of 2 meter distance and social distancing, it wouldn't work, because you need a location huge if you want to even have 30 people in it. And I'm hoping that there's people out there, and Chris, who was in the chat, I'm pretty sure that he's coming up with ideas and that. But like I said, he's in a very awkward situation, because people at the moment don't feel safe going out and doing it. Sadly, don't you agree, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like with us, with like many others who can't go out and investigate on their own. We just want to go into a location as well to see if it's up the activity, because nobody's been in there.
Yeah, because then we can then go back and say, right, people are saying, what's it going to be like? Well, we don't know. They could be having a party. They could be sat there on their table going, where is all these people that came in every single Friday, Saturday, every single night of the week? Where are they? They've been waiting for it. It could be a plethora of activities going to happen. We don't know. Until we're able to do that in a safe manner, we don't know. And we could find that it's completely and utterly the same as before. I don't know. I can't comment. Spooky Sisters UK, often UFOs may be classified as military experimental with various crafts. That's the point that I was going to say. The stealth bomber and the stealth fighter, even down to the the Blackbird. The US government didn't actually acknowledge that one until the aircraft existed until it actually went out of service, and that was like 20 years after it was flying around and it was in service. And then they announced that yes, we had this vehicle called the Blackbird. Sorry. So there could be a lot of things. It comes down to whether you believe in back engineering UFOs, whether the technology to get these things in the air is something that crashed in Roswell or crashed in various different other sites around the world, and whether we've got little green men helping us build aircraft. I don't know. I can't comment on that. I have my theories. But yeah, it's good. But yeah, I think you're completely right, Spooky Sisters. That I think a lot of them are misidentifications of aircraft, things in the sky, or just misidentification. And it's the ones, same as the paranormal. You could say 99% of everything you capture has a natural reason, and it's that 1% that you can't explain, and that's the 1% we're all looking for, and that's the unknown. We can't explain it, and that's what we're all looking for as a community. Spooky Sisters, we miss it too so much, but like, you won't be doing it until we feel exactly. It comes down to your own personal safety. It's like me personally. I don't even like nipping out to the shop to even get petrol, because I don't know. It's not me. I can't know. I've been completely in lockdown, cabin fever, stir crazy, bouncing off the walls since I got back from New Orleans in February. So I know I haven't been anywhere, but how am I knowing the person behind the till, or the person filling up next to me, the person who picked up whatever? hasn't been that and has been wandering around doing this, that, and the other, I don't know this. So I would prefer to know 100% I'm safe, because I know I can control what's happening in my four walls. I can't control what's happening outside of those four walls.
Yeah.
Leslie, how do you think the paranormal veil is affected by the pandemic? Similar with UFOs, it's difficult. It's difficult to say in my eyes, and I don't know what Sam thinks. Is it heightened? A lot of people have been experiencing things that are happening in the house. Is that because that activity was happening in the house anyway, but because they were out at work or whatever and they weren't spending as much time in the house, they hadn't noticed it? That's a possibility. Or is it they're going cabin crazy, and they're just going mental? I know personally, I know every sound in this house, my house, that makes. So I know whether it's next door, I know whether it's somebody outside, I know whether it's somebody out the thing. And I've sat here where I'm sat tonight. Directly above me is my lounge, and I'm on numerous occasions in the last 3 months, 4 months, I've heard footsteps going above me, and I know it's not next door, and I know it's directly above me, but I'm not looking for it. I don't investigate my own house. I will never investigate my own house, but you're there. It could happen all the time, but because I'm in the house 24/7, you pick up on stuff. So to answer that question, it could be activity that's happening all the time. It's just because you're in lockdown and you're at home all the time that you're actually noticing it. Sharon, I believe I've seen the Aurora plane vapor trail a couple of times. That's cool. That's cool. Do you want to explain that a little bit more? Andy Marshall, hi guys, good point, Carl. Thanks, Andy. I hope you're well. Another paranormal friend from Kent just joined in, Andy. Nice guy. Did a great investigation with Andy at Fort Horsted. And I was showing him the parabolic dish and the microphone, and we had some fun and games in the hanging room at Fort Horsted. So, hi Andy. Anything you want to any questions, share, Sam, before we wrap this up?
Not at the moment, but we'll obviously give people a few minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. So we're going to be going off there in probably 5-10 minutes. So this is your opportunity. If there's anybody that's listening, anybody that wants to actually ask us anything, like we said, anybody that wants to actually talk to us and was always saying, I tell you what, I wish I'd asked a question. This is your opportunity.
Yeah, because we don't really do a lot of Facebook Lives, or just us do, so...
No, this is your opportunity. And I know I do all the waffling, but that's Sam's the brains of the operation. Sam's the brains of the operation. She does all the technical stuff behind the scenes in the studio. I just sit here and waffle. So that's me. I'm just glorified. Sam's really the brains of PSHRadio. I'm just literally a glorified mouthpiece. So yeah, come on. Any questions in the chat room? Post them on there. We'll give you a shout out. If you want to post where you call it, where you're from, any groups that you're in, you can post that. We'll give those a shout out. If you think of a subject you want us to discuss, anything like that, or you've got some evidence you want to show us, send it over. Comment on it now before we wrap up. We'll be doing more of these, so you'll have more opportunities. But this could be potentially one of your moment to ask us anything that you want to ask. So anybody in the chat room, just go on, post a question.
Apart from what guests we have coming up, because everybody should know we don't announce guests at the minute.
You're not going to know that. That's a surprise to me most of the time. But yeah. So post away. Leslie, you guys are awesome. No, you're amazing as well, Leslie, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. And me and Sam and the other crazies that we went out to the Haunted Museum, Zach's museum. we'll hopefully be able to do that again. And Leslie was recently back to the Haunted Museum, and on the new VIP tour.
Or as they call it, R.I.P. tour.
Yeah, sorry. R.I.P. But yeah.
No, but it is classed as VIP technically, though, and it is. I think they
Yeah,
just kind of put a
so,
spooky name on.
yeah.
So.
Andy, thank you, Carl. Yeah, Halstead was great. Do you think that when a haunted house gets knocked down, the spirits remain, like the stone tap theory? I personally think doesn't matter whether there's a house there, doesn't matter that it's being bulldozed, knocked through, or whatever. I think if it's got a haunting, it's got a haunting. So whatever you put there in its place, whether it's open, a new house, or whatever, I think the haunting happens. That's why there are several cases of hospitals, mental asylums getting knocked down and turned into luxury flats. And you all of a sudden see it like somebody walked through your kitchen. There is a particular case near me, which at Kings Hill, which used to be an RAF Air Force base, and they basically turned it into luxury housing. And I was working for a company just on the outskirts of Kings Hill, and they found out that I was interested in the paranormal. And one day I was sat at my desk, and a girl in finance came down and said, "Do you mind coming and having a chat?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she went, "You're a ghost hunter, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then she basically said she'd bought this house, and she'd been seeing a guy dressed as an RAF man walk through a living room since she bought the house. And I went, "Well, okay, tell me the address." And we went up there, we Googled it, and we found out the particular place where her house was built was actually where the old officers' mess was. So I went, "It's the land. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do." So yeah, I think to answer Andy's question, I personally think it's the land. It could be a building, it could be an object, but I think when it comes to the land, if you knock the building down, they're still going to be going through. It could be a residential haunting. They could be just following the path of the way they walked or whatever. Sharon Porter, it's an aircraft, American aircraft that leaves perfect circles as vapor trails, and you never get to see the plane. It moves so fast. I didn't know what the name of that craft was. Thank you. That's interesting, because I was trying to think of that, and people have been saying that they see these trails, and but they never actually see the aircraft. So I now know the aircraft. Thank you, Sharon. That's great. And no, thank you for joining in. So give it a couple more minutes. Say thanks for everybody. Thanks to everybody that's joined in the chat room. Hope you've enjoyed it. Drop us a message, as you can see rolling through the screen at the moment. You can contact us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Listen to our shows every Thursday night on Speaker, 9 p.m. in the UK. Listen back via podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. And also, if you can, leave us a review. And I think that's about it, unless we've got any more questions, Sam.
No, we have no more questions.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. And like we said, we'll be doing some more of these.
Yeah.
If you've got anything, I've just gone through the spiel. You know how to contact us. You can either contact us on the PSHRadio, different social, or you can contact us individually. So I'm going to wish you a good night, and I will see you soon, and we'll be back on the air on Thursday. And over to you, Sam.
Night, guys.
See you later, guys.